The Richard Roeper Show is brought to you by AmericanEagle.com Studios. The digital landscape is changing rapidly, and to compete in today's online business environment, you need an experienced partner. Since 1995, AmericanEagle.com has partnered with companies of all sizes, offering web design, web development, e-commerce, mobile apps, and digital marketing to drive your overall business's success, because they believe that today's online world is your online opportunity. Visit AmericanEagle.com to get started today. That's AmericanEagle.com. Okay, guys, this is kind of a bittersweet moment for the Richard Roeper Show, for the podcast. I wanted to let you know that I am going to press the pause button for now on the Richard Roeper Show, and I keep talking about myself in the third person, but and it's for a variety of reasons, and none of it really has to do with the show not working or me not loving the show, but it's really about where I'm at, what my schedule is like, and my decision solely was to back away from this podcast, only because there are only so many hours in the day. And the podcast has been doing great, by the way. I got a year-end report from the team, and great demographics. The podcast is in the top 4% of all podcasts worldwide, and I'm very, very grateful to everybody who's been listening and downloading and sharing it over the years. But I recently started a second podcast called The Movie of Your Life, where I talk to various filmmakers and directors, actors, public figures, journalists about the movies that impacted their life and the first movie they saw that made an impact on them, their go-to comedy, et cetera, et cetera. And that has taken up a lot of my time. It's honestly, it's taking off, which is fantastic. So as I concentrate on that, and I also am writing reviews for RogerEbert.com, and I've had a blast doing that over the last 8 months or so since I left the Chicago Sun-Times. I have my weekly radio appearances on WGN in Chicago with my good friend Bob Surratt. And the great thing is, if you're outside of the greater Chicago area, it's all online. WGN's, the radio station's website. I still go on Windy City Weekend every Friday on ABC7 in Chicago with Ryan Cheverini and Val Warner and review movies. So there's all these little things that take up a lot of time. And I just thought, I want to do the best possible work I can at all of these jobs. And I felt like it was getting to the point where I didn't have enough time to really, really focus on everything. And I thought, you know what, let's just do the Movie of Your Life podcast for now. This podcast started off as something called Screen Time with Ro Khan, who was my radio partner. I was his sidekick for many, many years on WLS, and then later on WGN. I was a part of his show. And for those of you who know Ro, he was one of the great radio broadcasters of all time. And about 3 or 4 years ago, he actually decided to go into law enforcement, and he's a bigwig with the Cook County Sheriff's Department and is devoting his life now to that. So then the Screen Time with Rowan Roper became my podcast, and I've had a blast doing it. Almost every week we've given you guys a new podcast, and it's been a great forum for me to review movies and TV shows, but also talk about things happening in the world of entertainment and pop culture. But again, as I said, I'm going to put it on hold. I don't know for sure that we're never going to do it again. I think I might pop in maybe to talk about the Oscars or to do some tributes, and down the road, if other things that I'm doing go away, or I decide to step away from some of them, I might bring the podcast back. I'm also working on a book now. So that, like I said, it's really more a matter of time than anything else. So I just wanted to thank you guys who have listened to the show. All 250-ish episodes of this podcast will still be available on the landing page, on the website, and on Apple and Spotify and all those great places. They won't go away. They'll be there if you want to check them out. But in the meantime, I am shamelessly asking you guys who have listened to this podcast to please try The Movie of Your Life. And that's the name of the podcast, The Movie of Your Life with Richard Roeper. We've got a new episode just about every week. I think we've done about 10 so far. I've talked to Cameron Crowe. I've talked to Bill Curtis, the great Anchorman narrator, and of course, legendary journalist, Alice Brooks, who's the cinematographer on the Wicked film. So we've had a great roster of guests each week. And sometimes we do other things where I just talk about inspirational movies. It's a celebration of movies and how we're all the star of the movie of our life. Because when you think about it, you're the star of the movie of your life, and your spouse or your partner is like the co-star, and your friends are the supporting players, but you're the supporting player in the movie of their lives. It's all about what we do with the movie of our life, and how we try to be the hero and not the villain if we can. And I've had a blast doing it. It's available where all podcasts are available, and we will be continuing with that. Thanks again for listening, and I hope you guys join me on the other side over there, right over there. You can see it, for the movie of your life. Thanks so much, guys.